Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have the photographer Denis from London. So let's see what Denis has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hello Denis, I'm very well. How are you doing today?
Very well indeed, thank you.
Great, thanks for taking the time to do the interview with me. Thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. 1 second, I'm just going to turn my volume up. There we go.
Great, great. Very good, very good. Okay, Denis, just before we start the game, just tell me where are you from?
Originally, I grew up in Belfast in Northern Ireland, but I have lived in London since September 1988. So much longer in London than I lived in Belfast. So this is home.
And what do you miss the most of Belfast?
Well, sadly, the things that I missed from Belfast are no longer with us because that would be my parents, but they're both passed away now. My father a long time ago and my mother about 3.5 years ago. So I will probably never go back to Belfast now because there's nothing to draw me there. So
I see.
I'm just going to change my glasses, sorry.
Okay.
Now I can see.
Right.
It's very fuzzy, but no, it's the wrong glasses.
Perfect. And I know you're a photographer.
Yes. So, well, that's quite recent. But by trade, I'm a hairdresser. I've been doing hair for a long time, 38 years. And then I took up photography 2.5 years ago. And I hit 50 and I needed a new challenge. And I'd always spent a lot of my hairdressing career on photo shoots doing hair. So I always had a love of photography. And then I just decided that I needed a new creative challenge, something that I needed to learn. And so bought myself a camera for my birthday. And and now I'm kind of at that point where I'm 50-50 doing hair and photography. So it's fun.
I see.
It's good. It's fun.
And I know that you just had your exhibition as well, LGBT exhibition.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about it.
So back in during the most recent lockdown, I had this. Throughout all of the lockdowns, I had basically spent most of the time that I was unable to work, studying photo editing. Working on advanced techniques so that I could come out of it with a skill set that would enable me to potentially expand my work portfolio. But I think the last 18 months, 16 months, however long, I think there's been a real it's been a real lens focused on social injustice, not only in this country, the UK, but around the world. And when you look at the Black Lives Matter movement and how that blossomed and how powerful that became, and a variety of other things going on in the world, it made me look at the injustices within the LGBTQ community. That was either things that were being done by society towards the LGBT community, but certain what I felt were injustices within our own community by our own community. And I feel that sadly, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of transphobia, there's a lot of shaming goes on in the LGBT community, whether that be body shaming, slut shaming, bottom shaming, whatever. And I felt that there were a huge percentage of our community were being sidelined and marginalized. And so I wanted to create a display in some way of what I feel our community truly is, which is truly inclusive, or should be truly inclusive, but is truly diverse, and it's made up of so many different strands of light, and that's including lesbian, well, the whole thing, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgender, and queer everything, and ethnicities, and non-binary people, and there's so much of who we are as the community, and I think sadly we've been homogenized very much into being palatable for the mainstream media, which means there's an awful lot of white 35-year-old gay men with six-packs, and I think that kind of homogenization of who we are as a people does us an injustice as for queer culture, because there is so much more, and so that's what I wanted to do, and I launched it at Easter, thinking that I might get between 30 and 40 people wanting to have portraits taken, and I ended up with 145. And it could have gone longer and bigger, but I was just emotionally quite tired and physically quite tired, because I'd gone back to work cutting hair part-time as well, and so I got to a certain point I just had to stop. And there's an exhibition in Soho. It's like a window takeover of a store called Fiorucci on Brewer Street in Soho, and there's 96 of the images are in the windows. They went up on Thursday last week, which was the 17th of June, and they're staying up to the 30th of June. So half of Pride Month. So yeah, they're very exciting for me to walk past and see all of this work. But I think the most important thing was I hadn't realized just how important participating was for so many people. I knew the conversations I was having with people when I met them to take their photos, it was very important to them. But seeing their Instagram stories and the messages that people are sending me and saying, I feel like I have been seen and I haven't been seen by the community for such a long time. So it was, it's been emotionally very powerful for me, and I believe for the people who have participated. I just hope that people who see it understand what the message behind the exhibition and the whole project is, which is we're better and prouder together, to use a hashtag that Stonewall are using at the moment, and we're stronger when we accept and respect and amplify. And so important for me in doing this in particular that it did reach everybody. And I had said to friends when I'd been talking about this back in February, March time, that I wanted to do this. The whole thing for me was that if it didn't reach the community at large, and in particular certain demographics, you know, people of color, the trans community, bisexuals, lesbians, you know, I think white middle-aged gay men have had it our own way for far too long. And I said that if I didn't reach everybody else, that I would cancel the whole thing and I would delete all the files. But I was particularly, given everything that's going on in society right now with so much transphobia, I particularly wanted to reach out to trans men and women and non-binary people. And thankfully, I got a really, really good representation, and I can understand, or I could have understood, why those individuals could have been very mistrusting of someone reaching out wanting to take their picture, because they're really up against it at the moment. And we, as the other elements of the LGBTQIA community, need to stand beside our trans siblings and support and uplift and amplify them. So it was wonderful that I got a reasonably high number of people from the trans community wanting to participate, because I think it's for a young person walking by who at a young age struggling with being a gay youth or a gay person of color, or coming to terms with the fact that their gender that they were assigned at birth is not who they are. To be able to see people in a shop window on a main street in the middle of Soho, I think that is so so I'm getting the shivers. I think that's just so potentially so important to young people, to believe that they're not alone and that there are other people like themselves out there, and it's not necessarily as scary as you might think it is, and that there are other people like you, and that there is this wonderful community who will embrace and accept you when you're ready to join us.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think it was a beautiful job. Well done. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing that. I think you're doing, you did a artwork for all of us, part of it, you know what I mean?
That's what I was intending to do, and I think I've achieved a good thing. So the next step is, I'm going to have it turned into a book, and then everybody who I took photos of will be in the book. Because sadly, I couldn't put everybody into the exhibition, but everyone will be going into the book, and then the book will be sold to raise money for charity. So
amazing. Okay, Dennis, so welcome to Willie and the Magic Box. Lovely box.
I'm scared of this box.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. So, I'm just gonna play some music now, just for us to check it out, get in the mood a little bit before the first question. Okay? Let's just play the thing. Okay, Dennis, ready for the first question?
Yes.
Let's do it. So the first question is, how long can you go without checking your phone?
Oh Lord. Well, when I'm cutting hair, I think the longest is probably about an hour and a half. I was going to shoot yesterday, and I actually lost my phone for 3 hours and didn't even realize in the studio. But I think typically, oh God, a ridiculously short amount of time, particularly recently, because there's been so much social media around the project. Not long enough is the answer.
And let's say now, if someone come up to you and go like, okay, Dennis, you need to remove forever from your phone social media or YouTube, which one would you go and why?
YouTube.
Why?
I have connected with an incredible amount of people via social media. I have made a huge amount of friends. The whole project was, the success of the project was predicated on the reach that I had from the community in Twitter and the community in Instagram. I'm not I'm 52 years old, so I never go into those YouTube wormholes. So I would keep Twitter and Instagram, not Facebook, and I would get rid of YouTube.
Okay, great. Next question for you, Dennis. Let's do it. Right, let's go for the second question. Next question is, what does success mean to you?
Right, success to me. So I have a mantra, a personal mantra, and that's inspiration, motivation, education, and innovation. So that's, and I even have it tattooed on my chest and just above my heart. And I think any day that I am inspiring or being inspired, educating or learning, motivating or being uplifted, or innovating or trying new things, or encouraging other people to try new things, that to me is success.
Good, great. Next question, then. Let's do it. Before the next question. Tell me what's the best and the most challenging part of being a hairdresser?
Well, the answer to both those questions is people. It's people. You know, the best thing is meeting people, is making them feel good, is making them look good. But the most challenging thing is also people, because sometimes people can be late, they can be rude, they can be difficult. So yeah, it's people. But I still enjoy it, even after all these years. The good outweighs the bad. Good one. For sure.
Next question for you is, what is your morning ritual?
So I'm an early riser. I tend to get up with the sun. So at the moment, that's very early. First things first is coffee. And then with the whole kind of COVID situation and restrictions, I'm usually booked into the gym quite early, but I tend to go for around 7:30 to the gym. So my ritual at the moment typically is getting up super early, having a coffee, doing a little bit of photo editing, cycling to the gym, doing some exercise, and yeah, that's kind of that's all the before work stuff that I typically do. So
you always being an early person, early bird?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm never late. I got this from my father. My father was never late to anything except for his funeral, but he had no control over that. Yeah, so I wake early. If I'm not early, in my view, if I'm not early for something, I'm late. So I'm never a person who is just on time. I'm always the first one there. So if we go out for dinner, I'm the one who's at the table before everybody else. So yeah, so I wake early, then I go to bed early as well. I'm in bed by 10, and then at the moment I'm up at around 5. So.
Great.
Yeah.
It's another a while ago I was reading something, or I saw on TV, I don't remember, and I heard that if you arrive 15 minutes earlier, you're already late. You know, the new system now, because there's always some things gonna happen in these 15 minutes, or you're gonna, you know what I mean, things not gonna be ready for you, or you know, something's gonna happen in 15 minutes. There's always something. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, it makes sense. It does make sense, because when you arrive at work, like, or even what you're gonna do 15 minutes earlier, there's always something going on, or you know what I mean, it's not ready yet.
15 minutes of something getting in the way of you doing something can just put your whole day out, whether it be
Absolutely.
you know, the traffic jam, or the tube's delayed, or whatever it might be. You know, I cycle everywhere, so I can kind of dodge in and out of most of that. But there are always things that are unplanned that will take up that amount of time. So I always like to get to a place early so that I can enjoy it when I'm there. So and not be stressing. So that's me.
Next question. Let's do it, Dennis. Next question for you is, who is the most influential person in your life?
Wow, this is a tough one, because I think there are so many different strands to our life. So I think there are lots of people who influence different elements of those things. But I would say, overall, so I have this incredibly very important friend who I've known for 25 years. Her name is Sally, and she's also a hairdresser, and we used to work together. We used to work for competing companies, and then she left the one she worked for and I left the one that I worked for, and then we ended up working together, and then in her company, and then I left, but we stayed friends. And she's the person, and even yesterday I was shooting for her. You know, she has completely supported my becoming a photographer, and I was doing a big shoot for her yesterday. And the reason influential because she's the person who I turn to for advice. So I would say she's the most supporting person, and the most honest person. And I think support and honesty are very influential. So I would have to say Sally, for those reasons.
Very good, very good. Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Before the next question, Denis, tell me, in your opinion, what's the best part of living in London, and what's the most challenging part?
The best part of living in London, I think London it's as a city, it's constantly changing and evolving, and I love that. I love the fact that no 2 days are the same, no 2 years are the same. I actually left London for 2 years in 2012, and I moved back to Ireland to spend time with my family. And although I was visiting throughout that 2-year period, when I moved back and I then started going around London again, so much had changed. And I think because it's a transient city, there's constantly new people coming in. And I think that is wonderful, because I think it keeps us, I think new people and new experiences are what keep us growing. So yeah, I would say it's the fact that it's like an organ, it's beating, and it's got life pumping through it. So that's what I would say would be the best thing. The most challenging thing I would say is maintaining friendships. I think London's so big, and we are all so busy, and people's lives are so busy, and their work lives, and we don't necessarily all live geographically close to each other. I would say that is, I think maintaining friendships is one of the hardest things, and it's something that we have to work at, and it's something you have to be mindful of. And I would say that is potentially the most challenging thing that I am aware of in London, is that sometimes its size, its vastness, and its pace make it difficult to maintain healthy relationships.
Fair enough. Next question for you is, if someone come up to you to tell your future, would you accept it or not, and why?
No. I love the freedom of not knowing what's going to happen in life. It's really funny, when I was talking to people last Thursday before the exhibition opened, I think the universe has a plan for us, and I think for the energy that we are, I think that energy is traveling in a certain direction, and I think you move as you learn what you've needed to learn, and I've been in hairdressing for 38 years, and there are many points in my career that I have had to go back and repeat, whether it be running businesses, recruiting people, learning new stuff, teaching new things. And I've found myself in many situations over the years that have a parallel with another time. And with my photography career, everything that has happened in my photography career so far, up to last Thursday, there has been a parallel in my hairdressing career. And until Thursday, when suddenly everything ahead of me is uncharted. And it's quite a scary thought to not know what's coming next. Having had many points in my life where I've gone back to actually learn whatever it was that I needed to learn, knowing that I'm at a point in my life that I do not know what's coming. You know, in 12 months time, I could only be taking photos and not doing any hair. I could, you know, I do not know what's going to happen. And that knowledge, or that lack of knowledge of knowing what's coming, actually I find quite thrilling. So that's why I wouldn't want to know. I'd rather live it than wait for it to happen.
And in a way as well, as you're saying, it's a bit scary, but at the same time it's exciting as well, isn't it? Not knowing.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, very, very much so. It's a very exciting place to be, to know that whatever, you believe me, there are many parts of my life that I know, but I think from a career point of view, knowing that I have got this vista in front of me that's uncharted, that I'm going to travel into and discover new things about me and about people and have new experiences and learn new skills. I find that very, very exciting. So I wouldn't want to, if someone was to come along and say, I can tell you where you're going to be in 10 years' time, I would go, no, just let me get there. Just let me make my own way.
One of a very good friend of mine, he told me once, William, not knowing is a very powerful place to be. It's a very powerful place to be, which makes sense.
I would, yeah. And I think if you know what's happening, and you know, if you know what's happening next week and next month and next year, then time goes too quickly and you don't live in it and enjoy it. Whereas when you don't know what's happening, you can enjoy the time for what it is, for the experiences that you're having. So yeah, it's I'm much more excited by not knowing than by knowing what's going to be happening or what's, you know, coming at me. So yeah, that's me.
Great. Denis, have you enjoyed the show so far?
Yeah, really good fun. It's not as scary as I thought it was.
Next question. Next question for you is, describe yourself in 3 words.
Honest. Sometimes too honest. Loyal, very loyal. I want to say fun, but I think for very many years, I think I had mental health issues and fear of being out there, and a lot of shame around my mental health issues. And it was actually one of the reasons I did Proud Portraits, because I wanted to let go of that shame. Because I know before that I adopted that shame, because, you know, the shame wasn't born of me. I adopted it from other areas and other people. I was a lot of fun, and I was very gregarious, and I would be the person going, you know, right, it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning and we've had no sleep, let's go to Brighton and sit on that was me. Now, I certainly don't want to do that anymore, but although Brighton's great. But I think for a lot of time, for a lot of the last 20 years, I think I have lost contact with the fun side of me. And people have to draw me out. And then when they draw me out, when they take that time and energy to draw me out, then I am fun. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to with this vista opening up in front of me that I don't know what's going to happen is getting back in touch with the fun. So I'm going to say fun.
Amazing.
I would like to think moving forward more spontaneously fun, rather than having to be encouraged to have fun and to be fun. So yeah, loyal, honest, and fun.
Good, very good, like that. Next one. Denis, before the next question, tell me, through the whole process to put it out, this exhibition, this amazing exhibition you did, what was, if you could pick, like, let's say, the biggest lesson you learned out of the whole process to put it out, and what was the most challenging part, in your opinion?
I think the thing that I learned that was the biggest learning curve for me was that I almost went into this project for 2 things. It was one, as I said earlier, was to give this platform and this display of our beautiful LGBTQIA rainbow. But it was also to prove to myself that I was able to do this, that I had learnt enough to be able to technically create this. So that was the biggest thing that I learned, was that I have learnt enough skills over the last 2.5 years to be able to create something on a large scale by myself, and to believe in my own abilities. So that, I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. The most challenging was the admin, because it got so big and there were so many people involved. And I launched this as I was going back into the hairdressing salon. It was finding the time to do all the administration, booking people in, answering all the emails, sending off release forms, getting them back, communicate, and all of that kind of back office stuff, because it was just me doing it on my own. So that was the most challenging, was finding the time to deal with that, because equally, I think when people were putting themselves out there wanting to participate, I wanted people to be to felt seen and heard immediately, so I didn't want to leave things hanging. And so it was about that was the most challenging thing. The meeting people and the taking the photographs, that was just pure joy and fun. That didn't feel like a task at all. But the admin of getting there on the weekends when I was doing it, there was a huge amount of stuff to go on, and stuff that I don't typically enjoy anyway. I'm not an administrator, but I did it. So that was the challenge. And the learning was to believe in myself, that sometimes you have to set yourself a task that feels so crazy big, to just push yourself to jump to, just so that you can believe that you've actually got what it takes to make things happen. So yeah, that's the two.
Great, good one. Next question is, what is your favorite holiday season of the year and why?
Holiday season, as in like Christmas, Easter, that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, my birthday's the week before Christmas. So for many years I hated that, because my Christmas would get in the way of me being able to celebrate my birthday. Now that I work for myself, I would have to say Christmas, because I have my birthday, and then I have Christmas, and then I have New Year, and I take all of that time off, so I'm able to just relax and enjoy it. And I think people typically feel, a large amount of people typically feel happier at Christmas because of families and friends and social contact. So yeah, I would have to say it would be the Christmas period, which it wasn't always, but I have learnt to enjoy it much more in recent years. So yeah, it would be that period.
Very good. Another question. Let's do it. Okay, next question for you is, what's the best compliment have you ever received? I'm sure you have a lot to work as a hairdresser.
Yeah,
sure.
I struggle with personal compliments. I struggle with compliments about how I look, or my physique, or whatever it might be. But I think probably from a professional point of view, I think it's that I'm good at what I do. I think that's I think when people tell me I'm good at, I'm being good at what I do is not just about the technical aspect of cutting someone's hair, but for me, whatever I do, it's experiential. So whether I'm doing someone's hair or I'm taking their photo, it's an experiential thing. I want people to relax, I want people to enjoy it, and I want them to walk away feeling better about themselves. And when someone tells me that I'm good at that, then that is probably the nicest thing that people could say to me. From a personal point of view and interpersonal point of view, I think that probably the best thing that people have said to me is that you care. And I think that's, you know, for me, for someone to understand how much love I have for them and their experiences and their joy and their trauma and their trouble, and for those people. And I think when people recognize that in me, that I care about them, I think that's the nicest thing that anyone has probably ever said to me. The physical stuff, it's, you know, I struggle with that, and a lot of people do, particularly Irish people. But yeah, it would be that. You're good at what you do and you care. That would be the two.
Great. Denis, I have 3 questions left for you, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me, did you always have the support of being gay regarding your family? And tell me a little bit, when you came out, how was the support you had at the time?
So I came out in 1983 in Belfast, which was not a time where being a member of the LGBT community was particularly well accepted or understood. But my mother was incredibly supportive. My father and I didn't have a good relationship, nothing to do with me being a gay man. We just had a good relationship for many, many years. My mum was wonderful. My aunts and cousins and grandmother were all great. And working in hairdressing meant that I was surrounded by a lot of other queer people as well. And I think in some ways I was very fortunate to come out at a time in the 80s, which sounds a little weird, but music and fashion were very gender fluid at that point. And the TV was, and magazines and radio was filled with people playing with gender and fashion and sexuality in a way that made me feel like I wasn't the only person, because I could see that there were a host of people out there who were enjoying and loving being queer. So I never had that shame at that age. But it was a difficult place to be gay. And school, I was very badly bullied and all of that kind of stuff. But from a family point of view, and from a belief that it was okay to be me, then I was very unapologetic from a very early age. But it was a long time ago. It was a long, long time ago. Let me think. It'll be 40 years next year since I came out. So long, long time.
Right. Next question for you is: what is your most embarrassing moment?
No. Too many to mention. Too many to mention. Oh, my most embarrassing? Oh, okay. So I'm going to go for the most basic one here. I was in Miami, and I was doing a hair show in Miami for 4,000 people, and wow. my trousers ripped. My trousers split. And in front of 4,000 people with a camera like there, and I leant over to pick up a hairdryer, and the ass of my trousers split. So, yeah, that's the only one I can tell you without editing. I get embarrassed quite easily. So that was mortifying, splitting the ass of my trousers in front of 4,000 people on stage in Miami.
Do you have videos? Do you have videos like?
Someone does. I don't. I didn't keep it. So yeah, that would have to be the most embarrassing. Look, I'm already red. Look how red I'm going. Yeah, even thinking about it. So yeah, that would be the one. That would be the one.
That's funny. 2 questions left. Let's do it.
That's wonderful.
Okay, next question for you is: what motivates you the most in life?
what motivates me most in life, creativity. Creativity and learning. I think the way people are taught is quite binary and quite linear, and I think when I teach people how to cut hair, I always say to them that there's only two ways to cut hair, and that's vertical and horizontal, and it's what you do with the vertical and the horizontal that makes you creative. But when you look at the vertical to the horizontal, you've got all of that space, and that's where creativity lies. So exploring things and learning new things and creating your own way of achieving things. That's what motivates me. It's finding a new way to do something that I've never been able to achieve before, and that's what gets me up in the morning. Is that I'm knowing that I'm going to discover something new, whether it be discovering a new way, or discovering a way how not to achieve something, or discovering a new way to achieve something. That's what excites me.
Very good. Ready for the last one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Before the last question, I'd like to ask something. Let's tell me a fun story, like a funny moment that happened to you when you were doing the shooting for this exhibition. Something funny or something like unexpected you can share.
God, so much. I think the most unexpected thing for me that gives me the most pleasure was just how successful it was in terms of its reach, and all of the incredible people that I met. But I think the thing that was most unexpected, and it happened on the day that I launched it back in March, was I was offered an exhibition of my images by the chief executive of this heritage fashion brand, to show my images off for 2 weeks in Soho. That was the most unexpected, and they'd only seen one image, and that's when I really thought, it really dawned on me that the potential for this project was so big. It's not a funny story, but it was, when it happened, I turned around to the person that I was with and went, "What is happening?" And I think there's been so many moments like that during this project, that suddenly I'm getting a message from a publisher, and just so many moments, and like GQ magazine wanting to do an interview, and there's just been so many moments of pinch myself. It's like, is this really happening? So it's not funny stories, but unexpected. And just meeting these wonderful, incredible people that I would never have met. I have a very small, compact group of friends who I'm very comfortable with. And I think part of doing this project was about pushing myself outside of that comfort zone, and meeting all these wonderful people, so many of whom I'm now in contact with on a daily basis, one of whom you interviewed just last week, Mohsin. I think that meeting and making these incredible connections with people has just been a joy. And there were some very emotional moments as well, when people were just sharing with me their stories of struggles with mental health, their struggles with bullying, their struggles with gender, and becoming the person who they are, the journeys that they've had to go through. So although there was a lot of joy, there was also a lot of emotion, and there were some laughs as well, but there were no real funny stories. I think just these moments of, I can't quite believe that this is happening to me. That was 12 weeks, of just, waking up every day and going, what next? Bring it on. What's going to happen? Yeah. So it was a very much a voyage time, and I think having gone on this voyage, I've now come out to this other side going, I feel like a different person, and I feel like my life has changed, so yeah, that's that. I think, yeah, that's what it is.
Very good. Ready for the last one?
Yes.
Great. So last question is, okay, this one is going to be easy for you to answer for sure. Okay. What's the biggest prize you ever won?
The biggest prize I ever won? When I was 6, I won a singing competition in Belfast. I was a singer as a child, and I won a best male soloist at the Royal Ulster Hall when I was 6 years old in all of Northern Ireland, and so yeah, I remember that. I don't sing anymore, so that would be, yeah, and maybe 30 quid on the lottery once. But other than that, yeah, no, the one that stands out is the best under 8 male singer in Northern Ireland.
Wow, yeah. Wow, amazing. Denis, not the end yet. Okay, let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words, and you just have one word that comes to your mind. Okay, quick thinking.
Okay.
Let's start with family.
Mother.
Money.
Overdraft.
I love it. How about love?
Lost.
Life?
Living.
Sex?
Dim memory.
Religion?
Made up.
Politics?
Car crash.
Fear?
Conquer.
Friendship?
It's not a word. I haven't got one word for that. Friendship, the most important thing in my life.
Okay. Desire?
Forgotten.
Regrets?
3.
I'm not gonna ask all of that, okay?
One of them is giving up singing, so there we go. But the other 2, I'm not telling you.
I'll wait for the season, William Magic Box season 2. How about success?
Every day.
Wish?
More success. Wish. Contentment.
Okay. Happiness?
Now.
Okay. And if I tell you LGBTQIA, one word.
Community.
And Belfast, one word.
History.
And the last one now. Describe, I even got goosebumps now, the next question. Describe all this beautiful exhibition, this beautiful journey that you've done already, and your accomplishment. Tell me, just define all of that in one word, what that would be.
Pride.
Beautiful, beautiful. Right, so let's pretend now we're going to meet that lovely friend, your best friend, for a cup of tea, and I'm going to ask her, tell me the most beautiful thing about Denis, and tell me something that he needs to improve on. What do you think she'll tell me?
I think she'll tell you that I am tenacious, that I am very driven, that I'm always moving and hopefully forward, sometimes backwards. And I think the thing that she would tell you that I need to get better at or to stop doing, or that is a weakness, is to stop criticizing myself. That sometimes it's really important to just believe that what's happening is great and not see the fault in the things that I do. I find it. She would say that it's too easy for me to nitpick the things that haven't gone right and for not see the things that have.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Dennis, let's play now Dennis and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question, okay? But before that, I'm just gonna ask you a very last question to you. What would be your best piece of advice for someone who would like to become a hairdresser or getting into the photography career as well? What would be your best piece of advice?
Well, I approached both in a very unorthodox way, that I just started doing it. And I saw both of them. You know, when I was 14 years old, I was cutting people's hair in the kitchen. I'd never been trained to do anything. And when I started taking pictures, I just bought a camera and just took pictures. And I would say anyone going into a creative industry, I hope they haven't trademarked this, but just do it. And you will make a lot of mistakes, but you will potentially learn from everything that you do. But to enjoy the journey, and they're both as any creative area that you're moving into. There's a lot of moments in your life when you're not going to be earning a huge amount of money, and it's going to seem a struggle, and you're going to want to give up. But if you really, really want it, the stars are achievable. From my hairdressing career, I have traveled all over the world. I have cut the hair of rock stars and royalty, models and movie stars, been to the Oscars, worked on movies, but equally looked at, shaved the head of a woman who was going to lose all her hair to cancer. So I've got all of these incredible moments and memories. And even in this short space of time that I've been taking photography, this project has given me a whole bunch of those things as well. And I think that is go for it. Don't get disheartened, and cherish the memories. So that would be my advice.
Right. So now you can ask me a question now.
Okay. So when I look back on my childhood, and my upbringing with my parents in Northern Ireland, and I think that the greatest gift my family or my family ever gave me was curiosity. So it wasn't a physical thing, or I didn't have a monetary value, but the greatest gift I was given was I was taught to be curious. What's the greatest gift you've ever been given?
Very good question. By the way, I've done already almost 400 people worldwide, and no one asked this question yet. Very good. Right. So I think the first thing that came to my mind, it was the freedom. The freedom. I think my parents have been raised. I come from a simple family, very simple family. I never had luxury. I never had anything like material things, like big things. But I always had the freedom. I remember my parents always taught me like to be a good person, to go after my dreams, to believe in myself. But when I think about when you're formulating the question, the first thing that came to my mind was about freedom. They never hold me back. I remember I left Brazil when I was 19 years old on my own. I went to Portugal on my own, and I came to England. I've been in England for the last 16 years. And I remember my parents, they always, even though I was very young, they never hold me back because they knew it. They trust me. They knew who the person was. They knew where I came from. So they always gave me the freedom to be who I want to be, and they always gave the support. So the first thing that came to my mind, freedom. That's for sure. When I look back.
That's an incredible gift. That's an incredible gift.
Absolutely. Dennis, did you have a good time?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
You were a bit like scared about the question.
I was. I didn't know what to expect. You know, I watched some of the videos, and I'm not. Can I talk that much? Of course I can talk that much. I talk for a living. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, William. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Thank you so much, and thanks so much as well, not just for the interview, and also thank you for being doing this beautiful journey that you're doing. This exhibition was something like unique and something beautiful as well. That's as you can see, the old feedback, so people, you know, talking about. I think that's the most beautiful thing. Just people find themselves there as well, seeing themselves a little piece of it. That's the most important thing. Thank you.
I think that, you know, the stories have been the most incredible thing. The images are great, but the stories have been wonderful. Just been wonderful.
Absolutely. And before you go, if you can leave just a positive message, a positive quote before we finish the interview, please.
So this is it is a positive quote. For me, it's a positive quote. So as I said, both my parents are passed away, and over the years I've, you know, lost people, lost friendships, lost relationships, for whatever those reasons may be. And I just think the thing to always remember with everything that happens is, and all of these people that come through your life, is to think of it in terms of no beginnings and no endings. Just, how do you do it? Just love.
Yes.
So no beginnings, no endings, just love.
Amazing.
Wrong side. There we go. No beginnings, no endings.
Absolutely.
Just love.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the interview. It was a pleasure.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.